Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I am filming my 7 on Sunday early. This since Christmas is coming up, and I don't know how New Year's is gonna be, so I figured I'd get this filmed out of the way. Although, if I'm off before the first, um, before the 1st of January, like if I'm off on the 31st or something, then I might film my I might go ahead and that will be when I start filming my videos on talking about how my 2022 went. But I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes. But right now, so Grace's topics for January are basically the same topics she had last year, because they're good topics to get you talking about what you are hopeful with your reading in this year. So it makes sense that she kept the same topics. Just so the first topic for 7 on Sunday is what are your goals for 2023. And this I felt like this would be like I could use this as a starting point when I talk about my plans for 2023, because it's basically what it is. Like, it's talking about your goals, your 7 goals, all for the new year. So this is my starting video for starting all that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's talk about my goals. Now I need to reevaluate how I wrote this out, because this is not the order I want to talk about it. This might not be the order I want to talk about it. Okay, actually no. Actually no. I'm gonna the goal I thought that I was talking about that would be first. I took that one out. Which was I was gonna just share my Goodreads goal. What my Goodreads number goal was gonna be, which was either gonna be I was gonna go either a small goal, or I can originally my plan was to go for a small goal, but then I started thinking about I started hearing other people talk about their goals for reaching 100 books. And you know what? I feel like I shouldn't let it bother me when people or make me feel guilty just because I have 100 books goal. And I think I do have a little bit of guilt for that, because there are people that feel like if you have a really big number on Goodreads, you're gonna forget that you're not caring about the quality of your books. You're just thinking only about the number. And I think and that is not true. I mean, I think for a lot of people it's about the thrill of reaching that goal. A goal that lofty is fun and thrilling and exciting. And it doesn't matter, it's up to them. Their number is none of anyone's business but their own. Of course, it was also about, feeling a little bit of pressure, not just feeling like a little bit of guilt, because I kept towards the end of last year, I kept hearing people talk about, mention their videos, they feel like people were thinking more about the quantity of their books, rather than the quality. But also, it's the, but also I was just feeling like, because my goal was so, lofty in 2021 and 2020, that I felt, and before that I wasn't getting the bigger books in. And, I mean, that could still potentially be a problem, but I still want to try for 100 books this year. So that's kind of a bonus on this 7 on Sunday, but it's not the main 7 that I want to talk about. Okay, so I'm just going to give it to you how I documented it, because now I don't know what the order is, because I figured that would be a good one to start with, but then I took that one out, so. Okay, so, first there's, actually, I will... Okay, so I'll start with the one I said for one I originally put down as number 4. I'm going to make that the first one. Okay, number 1 is I want to finish some series. I want to finish more series because I feel like this year I only finished one trilogy. But I didn't finish any more than that. Now I am in the middle of a lot of long series, and then there are like some that I decided I've discontinued with, The Witcher being the main one. I've DNF'd the whole series, and I mean, never say never. I might come back, but I probably could have easily finished that one. Because I think I only have like 2 or 3 books left, and the books are not super long. It's one of those ones where they're short, a short number of there aren't that many chapters, but they're really long chapters. So I potentially could have finished it. But I'm discontinuing that series for right now. I don't know if I'll ever come back to it, but maybe if I do come back to it, I'll listen to an audiobook. I did like the show when it came on, so I know a lot of hardcore fans of the books or the games weren't happy with the show. And for people that are new to fantasy or have not read the books or even played the video game, the show might be a little confusing to them because it did not do well with the execution. And then, unfortunately, if you guys, the main actor, whose name I cannot think of at the moment for some reason, is leaving the show after season 3, I think. He might be doing season 4, I don't know. Henry Cavill, that's his name. He's leaving the show. He's not gonna do it, and he's the Witcher, and he's gonna be replaced by Liam Hemsworth. So, I don't know how well the show's gonna do after that. But I liked it when I watched it at the time, so... Which is really disappointing, because I know that Henry Cavill was really excited, and a lot of the fans were really excited about the show and everything, and it just failed. Seems like Netflix does not do a good job with these shows, unfortunately. I hope they do better and they learn from their mistakes, but I don't know if that'll happen. Anyway, so I still love Netflix though. I still like using it. But anyway, so I've only finished one trilogy, and one is the trilogy, and I finished it as of December, so I will talk about more of that during my wrap up of all the books I read throughout the whole year. But other than that, I haven't, I've come close a couple times, not just with The Witcher, but also, I just finished book 2 in the second trilogy in the School for Good and Evil, the Camelot years. I just have one more book to read, but it's a library, I have to get it from the library, and I'm trying to prioritize my own personal books over the library. As soon as I get to the library, I see, free books that I can borrow for a period of time, and I'm gonna get this one, and then I'm gonna get this one and this one. I need to read that one too. Even though there's not a whole lot of variety and it's a small library, I still managed to come home with 3 books or 3 or 4 books to borrow. So I'm gonna wait before I get the next book. I might get it in January still. It's just one more book, and it'll be nice to say I finished that trilogy. But and I'm sure there are others. And then there are some situations where I didn't get the book right away, the next book. Like I cannot remember what the series is called, but it starts with The Promise of Blood, and then Crimp's Campaign is book 2. And then there's the third one, something Autumn. And I was about to say Autumn Twilight, but no, that's the Dragonlance. But something Autumn, I think, is the title. It's, but when I went to buy the next book, it was not there at the, at BAM, so I had to wait a little while, and then I finally got it. So hopefully I'll finish that one next year. And, I think it's, I deserve some points for the fact that I finished at least one trilogy, because normally, even if it is a trilogy, I take years before I actually finish it, which is sad, but true. So I want to change that this year and get, at least 2 or 3 more series read, even if it's just, even if, they're trilogies or duologies. Like, and I have no excuse for the Nikolai duology, even though he's not the only main character in that duology. It's just more like I haven't been motivated to read the second book, but I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna do it in January. Knock on wood that I don't get sidetracked. That's the plan. Is January. Kind of to go with my like Russian literature theme, because it's a fantasy, Russian inspired fantasy. So I'm gonna read that in January, so that I can say I finished that duology. And also, I haven't been thinking about the Grisha trilogy, the whole Grisha series. Anyway, I haven't had it on the brain because, of course, it's a year before the new season starts for the show, so that can be a hindrance on me. Like as far as motivation goes. So there, I want to. So basically, that's one of my number one. Finish more than one series. That's my first goal. Number two, I'm going to talk about my tomes. So, number two, tomes. I want to read at least 2 or 3 tomes this year. And it will help if they're, like some of these fantasy series, getting them read should help, because a lot of the big fantasies are tome length. So that should help. But there are certain tomes that it takes me forever to read and to pick up and be motivated. Like some of my historical fiction, like Ken Follett's 2 series that I have. Those are big books physically as well as length. And that kind of I've started both those series, but I haven't picked up the next one. And so I want to continue. I want to actually get some tomes, even if they're not even if they're only 500-page tomes. I will. That still is a tome, so I will be happy to say that I can read them. And it is tome topple right now, and I am reading a tome as we speak, so I'll be able to So I am going to film another video where after I film this one, where I talk about what I'm currently reading and what I've just finished, and show you a little mini book haul. I wanted to do this before Christmas because, of course, I have books on my Christmas list and other things. So, but yeah, there's a lot. So it's such a struggle with me and 500+ page books because I have commitment issues, and it's more like I said, so it's not that they scare me necessarily, but it's just committing to them, which I guess in a way you could say it is being scared a little bit, because that's what they say when you're scared to commit to a person. When you can't commit to a person, it's usually out of fear. But I don't feel like, I'm not like, oh my god, the book is so big, I can't read it. It's more like, oh my god, the book is so big, but I have all these other books to read. That's the problem. And then sometimes the books are slow. Like a lot of my historical fiction books are slow. Even my fantasy books. A lot of my fantasy books are slow. So it's, I sometimes it's easy to get sidetracked. So like I said, it's not like that I'm scared that they're so long I can't read it. It's, I'm, just thinking about all my other books that I gotta read. And all the books that I'm excited to read, but I'm like, oh, I gotta finish this tome first. But why don't I just put this down for now and go to the books that aren't gonna take me that long? And then, also that is kind of why, and it also has to do kind of why in 2022, I decided to do them bi-monthly wrap-ups, so take off some of the pressure. And now I'm gonna do quarterly wrap-ups instead, I think, this year, or in quarter goals. So I'm going to take these goals and put them, into quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I started to, I've been thinking about it on and off. And I think that could take off the pressure a lot more. But, so, yeah, and so because of that, I'm thinking, oh my god, I better have books to show you guys on my videos, so I get books that I'm finished. So let me read this book that won't take me as long as this 500 plus page book. Well, yeah, so that's really the only problem with me and tomes, and is that it's, thinking like this book is going to take me a lot more time to read, so I need to read some other books at the same time, or put that tome away and then go to those other books. So yeah, I want to try to get some more tomes read. And some of those series that I keep saying I'm going to get to and I never did in 2022. Which, so, okay, goal number 3. Let's see, which one do I want to talk about next? Okay, let's talk about some of the genres I want to focus on. So, goal number 3, I'll go and talk about the nonfiction. I have finally started to get more into nonfiction. Like, I really kind of read quite a bit of nonfiction this year, which I was very proud of myself. Like, especially I read this summer, I read quite a few. I read at least a couple during Jane Austen in July. One of them was related to Jane Austen July, but some of the other ones weren't this summer. So, and I was some of the ones that have been sitting on my shelf for a little bit, I read some of those. And one of them actually made the Jane Austen nonfiction that I read made me emotional. It actually made me cry, so that was kind of cool. As someone that doesn't cry in books, I only cry, on TV shows and movies, and even then, if I'm not 100% paying attention to it, like I just have it on the background, then I might not get as emotional about it because I'm like not completely focused on it, so it's like it's not, affecting my emotional heartstrings. So it was kind of cool to be able to realize I was actually crying over a physical book. And that was like the Jane Austen, Her Life and Letters, where I read one of her sister's letters about Jane Austen's death, which I don't think is a spoiler, because obviously she did not live that long. And if she was still alive today, she'd be ancient. But so I want to continue on that trajectory and continue reading more nonfiction this year. I have a couple nonfictions about like historical figures, like the presidents, the founding fathers. So like I've been, ever since I listened to the Hamilton biography on audiobook, I've been more motivated to learn more about our presidents, like Jefferson, for instance, and I'm going to give the John Adams biography another shot. I did look for it on the iBook reader that I have, where you can, because I have the way to listen to audiobooks, but I still have to pay for the books. It's not like Libby where you're just borrowing them. I'm actually paying for them and I own them. So it's kind of like Audible but Apple. So I think I might get the John Adams one, unless my brother-in-law doesn't mind me giving the John Adams biography, then he has another chance. I'm renting it and borrowing it from him again, but I'm worried that I will lose my motivation and it will be sitting on my shelf, and then I'll do that. I'll have done that for no reason. I mean, if I find a paperback copy at the roast office one day, then maybe I'll buy it then. That's what I'm looking for. I mean, not the hardback. I mean, I have seen hardback at the roast office. In fact, I think I might have seen 2 copies of it. Not the last time I was here, but the time before that. I mean, although I did go into the vault the last time I was there. But yeah, there's a lot of nonfiction. There's like, I have a Benjamin Franklin biography that I want to read. Now, the Jefferson one is not the whole biography. I think it's only because it's smaller. Like, there is a biography of Jefferson that I have seen at Books A Million. And maybe once I get more into nonfiction, I'll be more comfortable with actually purchasing them at Books A Million, because I would rather get them, because I'm still kind of getting into nonfiction. I don't want to purchase Books A Million purchase them at Books A Million because they're more expensive. I rather purchase them at the Roast Office where they're cheap. But yeah, I think it's really cool that I've gotten more into nonfiction this whole 2022. I even started out early in the year in February. I think I did read the SPQR by Mary Beard, which inspired me to get more, motivated me to get into the Emperor series. And I think, as I always say with nonfiction, I feel like it just depends on the subject. Because, nonfiction, yeah, it can still feel like a history book. Like a textbook that you read in school. But if you get the right nonfiction subject, because I'm sure everybody has a subject that they would be interested, And, if you have a hobby, find a nonfiction about your hobby. Like if you play an instrument or you play a sport, I'm sure there's a nonfiction out there about your favorite player or about the sport and the history of the sport, or if you play an instrument, the same thing, there might be about a famous musician or about how the instrument was made or popularized and all that. I think that's how you get into nonfiction. You figure out what you are into, think about your hobbies or what you're into, and find the history, find, books about it. There could even be a nonfiction about shopping, about stores and stuff, and the first department store or something. I'm sure there's one out there. I think, which is the same thing with fiction. Just if you're not an avid reader, I think you can, find a fiction book about something that you're into. So it's the same process with nonfiction. And I want to, again, like I said, I want to read more nonfiction. I want to continue this trajectory. I want to continue getting more into nonfiction. So I want to try, I don't know if I'll be able to do a nonfiction book each month, but maybe 3 nonfictions per quarter or something. I don't know. It will depend on the nonfiction, because I have some the Benjamin Franklin biography or the Walt Disney biography, which are big, huge books. So I don't know if I'll get them done within a month. I've been reading the Walt Disney one on and off for a while, so yeah. So we're on number 3, I think. That's number 3. My third goal. So okay, so goal number 4. Okay, I'll talk about my goal about horror books. So number 4, I still want to continue to read more horror by other authors other than Stephen King, because I love Stephen King. He's one of my favorite authors. But there are other horror authors out there. I liked the book by his son Joe Hill, and I want to give Heart-Shaped Box by him another chance, and then I'm going to read more of his works. That was the other one. I read Horns this year by him, and I really liked it. I haven't seen the adaptation. I know there's an adaptation with Daniel Radcliffe. So I would be interested to see. I want to see that adaptation at some point. Maybe next October I'll watch it or something, or next autumn I'll check it out. But I enjoyed that book. So the next one I think I'll check out is Heart-Shaped Box, because I think the first time I attempted to read it, I wasn't in the right mood, probably. But I read a Darcy Coates book. I like Darcy Coates. I think she's not I'm not eager to read anything more from her, but I do want to read more from her. She's probably more in the YA range. Well, maybe not, because actually I think the main character was an adult, so never mind. So not YA, but it was very easy reading. And I like some aspects of the plot. It's like I said, it's not, oh my god, I love Darcy Coates, I love this book. It was more I liked it, and I want to read more. And of course I've read The Haunting of Hill House, which is a classic. And I have Blackmouth, I cannot remember the author's name. I planned to read that this year, but I didn't get to it, so I probably will read it next year. But yeah, I want to try other horror authors other than because there are so many, I'm sure. And but I still want to continue with Stephen King. I want to read more. I want to always continue reading Stephen King because he is one of my favorite authors. So yeah, I want to read. For my next goal, I want to read more. Goal number 4, I want to read more from other authors that are not Stephen King in the horror genre. Okay, so next is I will talk about goal number 5 is I'll talk about I want to read more historical fiction. I have, like I said earlier, but the tomes that in series I have some historical fiction series, like Clint Follett's works, the Century Trilogy and the King's Bridge Chronicles, which is still ongoing, I think. And I have started both those series. Like I read the first books of both those series. And I really like it. It's just kind of slow, and not a whole lot is happening. And they're big and long, like they're physically big and long. And then there's also the Emperor series, which is a fictionalized account of Julius Caesar and his history. I want to read that one too. Like I kept meaning to read Death of the Kings, but it just kept pushing it off. So I need to pick it up this year, maybe in March for the Ides of March, and that is the March of the Mammoth. So and it does. Well, it might not be a mammoth. It might be considered just a tome. But anyway, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking about for March, because of Ides of March, doing a Roman theme. So yeah, a lot of historical fiction. Like I still gotta finish reading The Physician, which has probably been a year, because I think I did pick it up in last year or maybe in 2021. When I started reading that one, like I said, I really liked it, but again, it's slow. Like that's the thing about historical fiction; it can be kind of slow at times. But yeah, I want to keep going with the historical fiction. I want to continue with historical fiction and read more historical fiction because I love that genre too. It's just a little easier for me to get into fantasy because I love fantasy and it's my number one genre. It's 5:30. My tree just came on. Oh, maybe not, because on my computer it says 5:20. But I thought my mom said it for 5:30, but maybe my computer is wrong. Anyway. So yeah, historical fiction. I want to read more of historical fiction. So like I said, all these books where all these genres and book categories I want to read more from. What I like to try to do is either read a book from that genre or category each month, ideally, or at least try to read more than one in each quarter this year. Okay, and so that was 5. We have two more goals to talk about. Okay, goal number 6. Okay, I'll go ahead and continue with science fiction. Getting more into science fiction. I'm slowly getting to science fiction. I'm hoping it'll be like with nonfiction, where one day I'll have a burst of motivation, inspiration to read science fiction. Like I really do like Dune, and I think the key is that I like the science fiction that feels like fantasy and is not too bogged down with the science. That's why I'm kind of nervous about The Children of Time, because it does focus a little bit on the science more. But yeah, I like science fiction that kind of feels like fantasy, with its story and everything and the plot. Like there are they have science fiction elements like in Dune. They are on a planet and there's technology. But it still has the epic feel of a big epic fantasy. Like our main character is an emperor, is like kind of a prince, and or at least part of a noble family, and he has a destiny, and people believe he's the chosen one. So it has elements of fantasy and I really enjoy that. That makes it easier to get into science fiction, because that way it's not bogged down with the whole science part. I mean, I did like Jurassic Park when I read that one, but there were times when Jurassic Park did feel a little tedious and boring, especially when he explained the science of the dinosaurs and all that. But yeah, that's another genre I want to read more. I want to continue to read more from and get more into is the science fiction. So that means reading the next 2 books in the Dune series and reading the first book and finally reading and finishing the first book in the Children of Time series, I guess I'll call it. Because I think I could like science fiction. It's just the science can be a little confusing. Okay, so that was goal number 6. So my last goal is read a classic, continue to read classics more. Like read classic a month. Because again, I want to expand my classic horizons and continue to read more of them because I do love classics, and I feel like there will be periods where I don't read classic at all that month. So I want to change that and because I love them. And yes, there will be times where I'm not inspired to read a classic, and that's fine. I'm not saying that, I'm going to force myself because it's not an obligation kind of thing. It's just more that I do enjoy classics. It's just sometimes it's easier to read contemporary books, like books that were written more recently and books that are more action-packed, like a fantasy. Now, not all fantasy is action-packed, but, you get what I mean. So I want to continue to prioritize classics as well as all the other genres I mentioned. And there are some, I want to continue to pursue trying Jules Verne, which also applies to science fiction, because a lot of his books are all science fiction related. And I did recently, you guys know that from Paper Mill Press, I recently bought Around the World in 80 Days, and the other one where they get to the center of the earth as well. So that's and I also got The Time Machine as well, which I wanted to reread that one. Which actually today with my hairdresser, I got my haircut. But with my hairdresser, we're talking about, I told her I love books and I love reading, and I was talking about how there are some classics. A lot of times that I read the first time, because she asked me about rereading, asked me if I reread, and how I told her that I have so many books that sometimes I feel guilty about rereading when I could, finish all my new books. But I mentioned how I do still enjoy rereading some of my favorites, and also there are books that I read before that I'm thinking I want to give another shot and read, because seeing if maybe I've changed my opinion about them, because that has happened. I don't like Catcher in the Rye as much. I liked it when I was younger, but I don't like it. I kind of didn't like it. Don't like it as much now. And I'm thinking The Time Machine. I didn't really care for it the first time, but I might like it better this time, especially because I know that the romance that's established in the movie adaptation, the newer adaptation, because I think it was adapted once before. That romance I don't think is in the actual book. I think the people who made that movie added that romance. So I want to focus more on the actual science fiction aspect of that one. I think that will help me enjoy it more. But yeah, so I want to focus, like I said, I want to prioritize classics some more and make sure I actually read a classic a month instead of just sci-fi all the time 24/7, because I love sci-fi and I know there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, again, like I said, I want to continue to try these other genres and this other category of books. And there are some fantasies that are classics, like Lord of the Rings, that I want to read. The whole thing, which you guys know I have. But anyway, so those are my 7 goals for this year. For the first topic of 7 on Sunday. If you guys want to share what your goals are for, if you are goal oriented and make goals, please share them in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below to see when I post new videos if you want to. And I will post the link to the Goodreads group down below. So if you are interested in the topics, if you want to join, feel free to do so. And I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.